Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tint Stuff. I, of course, am Matt, and today I'm tinting this charger along with some other stuff today, but I had a question from My9 Trey, who left a video response, and he asks,
Hey, what's up, Matt and Tinternet? My name's Craig. I have a tint shop here in Warren, Ohio, and I'm a subscriber to your YouTube channel. Been watching, very good. Question about this Easy Reach tool, which you did have in your tool supply. When you cut here, I noticed on that last car you did with this Gilla film on your Cobalt that you cut here and then you put it in there. Is cutting there right above the weather strip good enough to use the Easy Reach to tuck behind the weather stripping? That's what I seem to have a problem with. By the time I tuck that stuff down there, that film, using this tool, I usually end up pulling the weather stripping off, which ends up wasting a bunch of time. I'd appreciate a comment back. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
so basically what he's asking about is seals. When you cut the window film, do you cut it down about an inch below the inside seal? Or do you leave it a little bit less, a little bit more? Because he's having to end up pulling out the seals of the car. And, it takes a little bit of time. It's a great way to do things too. It's no shame in it, but if you want to save time, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Alright, so this one's already cut out, as you can probably see. Sorry, it's a black car with black seals. I'll show you some other ones today if I get them. So this is where he normally cuts his patterns. Okay, so this is where he normally cuts his patterns out. Now, I wouldn't do that, just me personally, because you get real close to the paint and there's a possibility to scratch the paint. Probably doesn't, but that's always a possibility. But yeah, that's going to bring your tint probably about an inch, maybe almost over an inch below your inside seal. Now what these are pre-cut patterns, but if I were to cut them out myself too, you make them a little bit long on the sides, but you're mainly going to cut them out right there. Now when you cut them there, afterwards, I'll actually drag them down a little bit farther, so they're only going to be about a half to a quarter of an inch below the inside seal. Now you can also use the factory edge of the tint that comes with it at the very bottom if you have a nice flat edge, and not even cut out your bottom edge, just cut your sides, cut your top, and then you'll be good to go. But I'm going to show you how to tuck the actual film into the inside of the window and why you would want to cut them out a little bit higher than lower without having to remove the seals. I'm still here, guys. Alright, so I'm on the front door right now, front passenger to be specific. I just tinted the top half of the window, and now I'm going to peel off my bottom edge and tint the bottom. Make sure the pattern's wet down, bottom edge is sprayed out. Alright, now this one goes a little bit farther down, and it's just the pre-cuts, probably closer to the half-inch range. So what I'm going to do is actually start over here in this corner. Hope you guys can see this pretty well. I'm going to pick this up, tuck in my bottom edge, make sure this goes flat, and then just push it over to the side a little bit to kind of get it in position. Then it starts to bunch up right there because you're trying to tuck the film this way, but it's grabbing on the seal this way. So then I come over here, kind of grab in the middle of the film, and then use that to use a little bit of grip and just pry the film up that way. Peel my seal back, get a nice flat edge again, tuck it in until it starts like fighting with that seal, because once you start fighting with your seals, you're gonna run into a lot of problems. That's where you get creases and problems. You only want to do what the film is going to allow you to do, and you just have to try to manipulate it in a way that's not going to crease it. Okay, so now I'm going to grab it right about here, so I'm not creasing it, but I'm also putting a little bit of pressure right in the middle. I don't want to grab it down there. This will get it so I get a nice ripple right through the whole window, and everything just kind of goes this way, and you got those two spots that are fighting with the door panel. So I'm going to go back over to one corner, press it down a little bit more, and peel that seal back a little bit now because the film's in a different position. So now this is going to want to start to go down. I want to do the same over here. Go all the way across, make sure my film is completely tucked underneath. Now everything is slightly beneath that edge and I got a nice riffle in it. So, my door is shrunk correctly. Everything should just, I'm pulling this back and using my hand at the same time to push this big air riffle out. Everything should just lay down quite nicely. There you go, just like that. Alright guys, now this is kind of an interesting one. I just kind of rough cut my pattern real quick, nothing specific. I have this F-150, big door, vent visors in the way, S-curve here, and I'm actually going to hand cut this one. Normally I would plotter cut them, but I kind of want to give you a better idea of exactly what you're going to be doing and where you're going to be cutting. So, spray this down. This is a lot different than your typical door window. They're still pretty easy to do though, so that's a good thing. They may look a little scary, but spray my film down. Alright, so I got my film laid out over my window. I haven't cut anything specific yet, so what I'm going to do is actually rough cut this. Just kind of at the top of that seal. So it's following that line, but it's not going to be completely perfect because it's just got a weird curve. So, that doesn't matter because you can cut that and then pull your film down halfway in between that bottom edge where you would, if you cut it way down here, you may scratch your paint, but you also would have a really difficult time trying to tuck this in because that is really far down. Alright, so I got my pattern installed at the top. I got, you know, where I was at the charger, have my liner halfway down, a little bit more than that. So I'm going to spray off my window just to make sure that when I rolled it up it'll stay a little bit cleaner. Peel off my liner. Now I'm stuck back in this position. Now these seals, the funny thing about them is on the inside they go a little bit farther down than they normally would on a regular car, so that's why you have to cut them down just a little bit farther because there's more door panel in the way than seal. Now I have my window obviously down this far, and where I want to start is over on this edge this time. Just personal preference really. So I'm going to pull my seal back, make sure that this edge is flat up against the window, pull my seal back, tuck it in a little bit, try and keep that flat. Got my tape coming up, so I'm going to make sure that's out of my way. Make sure that's flat, tuck it over as far as I can. Now obviously it's not very far, and I can't start tucking this in just because there's a lot going on right here. This door panel was also cleaned prior to this, so if it rubs against the door panel, it's going really far down anyways, so minimal to no dirt. So what I want to do is make sure that edge goes up just a little bit farther, so I'm getting a riffle, but it's going to start to crease here if you're not too careful, so I can only get that over so far. So now what I want to do is take my tint right above that riffle. I'm going to make that riffle higher. So I'm going to pull up the film farther, take this edge over here on the side, tuck it behind my seal, keep a nice flat edge again. And then I'm doing two things here. I'm pushing it this way and I'm pulling back the seal this way, keeping that ripple that way. Now I'm only going to have my film binding up in one position because this is below the seal, this is below the seal, this still hasn't been tucked yet. But now everything's in a different position, so I can start pushing it over this way a little bit more. It's kind of grabbing, gotta be careful, and move this over to the side. And you just gotta work the film in a way where everything just kind of falls into place. Now I got the big air pocket that I made, so I'm gonna pull back my seal, kind of make sure that all lays down. It'll start pressing up right against that seal. So I'm gonna make sure that all lays down. And now I can start pressing everything down. Now that seal is actually a little tight in there, so my film is kind of binding up against that. And that's good because it's something that you guys are gonna run into every now and then. Not every install is gonna be perfect. So this will be more of a what to do in weird scenario type thing. So I'm gonna make sure that edge is tucked down. I'm gonna save that for last, just because I don't like it. Pull my seal back with Conquistador, or with a Platinum Easy Reach. Pull the seal back, just go along that bottom edge. Now I have my whole window squeegeed out except for this area here. Now, what typically happens here is that if the seal is too tight or you cut it just a bit farther, sometimes it'll bind up and you're gonna have a hard time actually moving the windows in behind that seal. But if it was cleaned properly, you won't have a problem with contamination. So what I want to do is take a thicker squeegee like a Conquistador. I'm going to start in this flat edge up here and then just kind of go down the side real even all the way across. And that way what it's actually doing is as I'm going down, it's pulling the seal back and getting that edge to lay down. Now some of you may crease it when you do that. Sometimes it binds up too much or it's too far in. So it just comes down to, really just comes down to practice. And then we'll give it a quick once over and check it out. But we did a 20% on this door. You can see all my edges turned out good. At least as good as you can on camera. Everything looks good, turned out clean. So by all means, you can pull the door panel. You can tuck it an inch below just to be on the safe side if you really want to save yourself hassle down the road, possibly. Like I said, it doesn't really happen to me. I haven't had a problem. If you have a nice film, touches back on the last video using Gila, you're gonna have more problems. If you have a weak film, like kind of like a, in my personal opinion, a 1mm film with like a weak adhesive, it's gonna tend to peel. Here in Michigan, windows get hot and cold all the time. So that kind of affects the adhesive in a way. On colder days, it's not quite as aggressive, it seems like. So when cold days roll around, a lot of windows peel. If they stay warm, stay hot, you know, if you're in like a nice sunny area like Florida, you're less likely to have that sort of an issue with a thinner film or a weak adhesive. But, you know, if you want to stay on the safe side, if you want to stay on the safe side, go that route and just pull the door panel or struggle with an inch plus of film to try and tuck it in. It's just, it's headaches, you get dirt, it's just not fun. The faster and quicker you do it, the less contamination you're actually going to get in the door. So, it's just my opinion. I'm sure you have others. Go ahead and leave video responses below if you have some more questions, because that'll bump you up to the top of the list. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!